The coaching race is going to get interesting because we've got Alastair Clarkson sitting there, which we've talked about for a long time on this program, who's available in the market. And we're assuming that he'll get a job next year, but it depends who becomes available and when. And the GWS situation is really interesting. That looks over. Yep. It doesn't look like it can last many more weeks, really. No,
there's a real tension there between the senior people at the club, and it's a place without soul.
So how does the club handle it? Because he's been a very good coach, and he needs and deserves respect. But you're saying they've got to get in first, are you, Hutchie, for Clarkson?
No, I think... he's a first-class person, and I think that it'll be handled the right way, but he's not the coach of the Giants.
And I can't see the Giants going for a young coach. I think it'll be a senior, experienced person.
So they'll want to get in the Alastair Clarkson discussion, and you think he'd be one of the candidates that they would want to talk to. Does that put pressure on the other clubs to... Say Leon leaves in a month, or mid-year at latest... What pressure does that put on the other teams who may or may not?
Well, you're talking about the Gold Coast and potentially Port Adelaide, Craig. I'm assuming they're...
Well, it does bring forward those decisions, stay or depart on those...
It's Stewie Dew's got a huge month ahead. They come to the MCG to take on Collingwood. Again, they're going down a similar track. I thought they were really poor on the weekend, the Gold Coast Suns, 2-4. I start well. They probably start worse, Kane, than they have in previous. So... Big month for Stewart, just to prove that he's still the right man.
And I hate to be brutal, but Alastair's also a North Melbourne man, and it's not David Noble's fault, all of the things that North Melbourne have done wrong over the last 5 years, but there would be every chance there'd be people at North Melbourne wondering about Alastair's availability there.
So if he said, I'm open to a discussion with North, they're moral bound to think about that, aren't they?
Have to.
Yep.
I mean, they went for every other big North Melbourne name last time.
They've offered him that job 3 times before.
Yeah.
The only aspect of that, Hutchie, is if Alastair wants 1.2 or 3 to go to North, no development coach, the development coaches aren't there. They are crying out for a heap of coaches to develop this list, not one.
The AFL want him at the Gold Coast or GWS.
The last one on Clarkson, at the risk of sounding not as respectful as his resume, he won 4 times. His last 3 or 4 years weren't successful at Hawthorn, and he stopped wanting to develop as many young players as he did. He topped up, he recycled.
And he ignored the draft completely.
He was more defensive than the game trend has become. Now, you wouldn't put it past him to go and win 3 or 4 more, but he won't suit every club, will he?
Craig, what happened after that third flag of the 3 straight? Yeah. The president left, the CEO left, the head of footy left, a bit later Chris Fagan to go and coach Brisbane. All the senior people who are having a big say in managing Alastair, who's difficult to manage like all brilliant coaches, left. And he was given the keys, and he didn't do a great job with all the other stuff. And the best thing he could have done is have a year off, even though he might be looking at Carlton, wishing he'd coached them now. So I think he'll be back to his brilliant best after a year off and with the right people around him. And if he goes to one of the clubs, GWS or the Gold Coast, the AFL will fund him with ambassadorial money, so there will be more money in the footy department.
Who's more advanced, you think, if Clarko was to choose one, Gold Coast or GWS?
No, I'd still go GWS.
Would you? Yeah.
More so than Gold Coast, yeah.